I was working in a little town named Mount Morris, working on a sewage treatment plant. We were setting gang forms to pour a concrete tank. A positioning hook is a hook that hooks to your safety equipment. It's got a spring release that hooks on, and then the big hook is about that tall and about that big, and it's got a safety release on it. I was climbing the form, and my positioning hook came off the fixture. When it did, came off at such a force and knocked me unconscious, and then I fell onto the concrete floor. I spent 3 days in the hospital. My pelvis was broke. They diagnosed me, did a CAT scan on me, on my pelvis, sewed my head up and evaluated my arm, determined it was broke. I had initial diagnosis of a broken radial head, which is the pivot point in your elbow. The pain of the broken arm was really not much, but it goes numb when you break your arms. I didn't feel that. My head pain was enormous, and the pelvic pain was probably the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my life. Time went on, and it didn't heal correctly, and doctor took another x-rays, and he said, there's something else wrong here. He says, I'm not sure what it is. So I got sent to Chicago to Rush. Dr. Mark Cohen saw me and diagnosed me with what's called an Essex-Lopresti injury. It's extremely rare. It required 2 surgeries to repair, shortening of my arm and replacement of my radial head with a prosthetic. The process from paperwork getting started to where settlement date became apparent was about 7 years. It's very complicated. I'm not a lawyer, but that's why I hired who I hired. They made it simple for me to understand, and my wife in the process. The staff of Coplan and Crane as a whole, they should be, those owners of that business law firm ought to be very proud of everybody that works for them. They are very thorough. They've been through this before with people just like me. They should recognize themselves better than they do because they're very good at what they do. Settlement doesn't replace your injuries and make them new. The settlement helps you pay some bills that you've acquired, because you will acquire bills when you get hurt. You don't intend to, but things happen that way. I did almost 700 applications, and out of that many, I probably had 22 interviews, and just about everybody said, no, thank you. The end of the process was like somebody taking that truck that had driven on me and parked on me for the last 7 years and drove it off a cliff and got rid of it. That's how much of a relief it was to have this done and over with. And they made it so easy for me and my family to deal with this that it's sometimes it's emotional. I'm now the mayor of this lovely little town of Braceville that I live in. Good little town. I grew up here. So I'm going to be the mayor for another 4 years. I'm happy. My wife's happy. We're moving on with life.